on Diversity Chat, where we bridge the gaps of diversity and destroy ignorance before it destroys another life. Welcoming everybody joining us today. And yes, if you don't mind introducing yourself, what's your name, please?
Yo, so my name is Courtney Wayne Lindsay, also known as Sunwhoa Black Samurai G. And yeah.
That's a lot. So
yeah.
I feel like there's need for a breakdown on where do you get the Sunwhoa from and the sky?
That was a name given to me by God. I was having a conversation with God, and I was asking, how come you love some people more than you love others? And that was the conversation. It was like, I see you anointing this person and blessing that person and having favor on that person, but then I felt like I was unloved. I felt like I was unseen. And then God basically just impressed on my heart and told me, like, yo, I see you like the son of the universe. I know you by name. I know the nostrils in your hair. I mean, I know the hairs in your nostrils. I know the hair on your head. I know the hair on your mustache. Everything, So I know you, and I want you to shine like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? You are not some far out planet. You are the center of my universe, and so God has the capacity to say that you are too, and you are too, and you are too, without one person feeling left out. Just because someone is loved doesn't mean you're less loved or not loved. And so that's what Sunwhoa comes from. And then Black Samurai came from another conversation I was having, but it was really just all at one time. It was just like Sunwhoa love, Black Samurai. And then when I heard that, I was like, oh, that feels good. It feels like me. It felt like I grew up on martial arts. I grew up on all of that stuff. So like, it felt like something I was interested in. It felt like something I can claim as my identity. And then as a part of my identity. And then as I grew, I found that samurai meant servant of the Lord. And so that's like the literal definition of samurai is to serve the Lord. And in that time, in Japanese culture, it means like the land, like the Lord of the land, person who owns the land. That's what samurais technically were. So, and just a lot about samurai culture is really, aligned with Christian culture in the sense of dying to yourself, dying to ourselves before we dishonor and discipline and honor and all that stuff. So that's where I came from.
Super random, but I'm really good at that. I was watching a very old episode of Magnum P.I. and there was a samurai on there.
Word. It's funny. I don't know if I've ever seen Magnum P.I. I don't know if I've ever seen the episode.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm an old school, so I definitely love that, and I love the new one. So
that's what's up.
I recommend. But that's really cool. Actually, in that episode, the guy was super dedicated to his position as a samurai. That he was willing to sacrifice his life if he couldn't finish the mission. So,
exactly. So
go ahead.
Oh, so I mean, I feel the same way. So I later had the opportunity to go to Japan and 2 times and like spend time with my folks, my Heavenese folks in Shinjuku, Japan, and we got to travel and go to Osaka and Kyoto and Tokyo and all over. And they shared a lot with me about how they believe that literally samurais were products of Christian disciples going to Japan and investing in Japanese people. And that was like it was like a baby of Christian disciples, samurai culture,
Mm-hmm.
So
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I mean, I didn't know till I knew either. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's how it goes, and that's why we're doing these chats, because we don't know till we know. That's why we're cool to people, so you can know people that are different looking perhaps than you might share interest with.
Yeah.
And one random more question about samurais. Are they the ones that swim like without putting their head in the water?
That's new facts to me. I didn't know that. If that is the truth,
I forget. Warriors, and they swim without putting their head, and I feel like it's from Asian culture.
Wow.
Or the country, the continent of Asia. Yeah. I feel like it is. But anyway, I got more questions.
For sure.
where do you currently reside?
I'm from what's up? I'm from Pomona, California. Well, actually born in Los Angeles, raised in Pomona, a little small suburb of Pomona, and then from there I moved all through Pomona. Been in different areas and whatnot, and then now I live in Pasadena.
Okay.
Pasadena.
Nice. I think I've been in Pomona where they have the LA County Fair.
Yep.
Okay, I've been there.
It's the last city of LA County.
Is it?
I mean, like the next Monrovia in Ontario turns into something. I mean, Montclair in Ontario turns into something else.
Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, I went there with my friend Christy. First time ever going. Last time ever going. 8 hours. Feet hurt. It was great.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's a good time.
Yeah. All right. And so, what ethnic group do you identify as?
I am black. Black, y'all. Bliggity, black, y'all. Yeah, I'm BLACK.
Okay. I hope I spelled it right. Might have called you something else. No. And what's your age if you're okay sharing that?
Yes, I'm 31. Born 1980.
1980?
88.
88. Oh, sorry. There's a lot of people in my world, they're 88, and they're so proud. I mean, I shouldn't say that's actually not good to say 88, but like they're born 1988.
88 was a beautiful year. It's a beautiful.
There's a lot of 1988 pride. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. I'm an 87, but I don't hear 87 pride. I hear 88.
That's true. I feel like we were like the last. Like we were like the last of like, Ninja Turtles and some of that stuff that just came. We caught the tail end of a lot of greatness, and then we were the first to get a lot of greatness. So, what I mean? Even with video games, like we got to experience the development of video games like on another level.
But I was right there with y'all, and I'm just trying to figure out if the 1988 people just come out the womb like with this 1988 pride.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I feel like I don't know what happened. It just happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think just that year every time it's like 88. Yeah. All right. Randomness over. So your girlfriend was on yesterday, Shannon, and she was talking about debate. Do you have anything else to share about that? I know you're one of the founding fathers. You want to on that?
I mean, it's a group of us. I mean, and I guess that's the one thing I can say about Cultivate is it is, it's not necessarily our goal to like receive money or to create this empire. That was never our goal. Our goal was to be and is to be somewhat of a compass and like a voice that could be missing out of the movement. So we wanted to mainly make sure that we were touching different areas of the mind and the heart that might not have been being touched in every other area of the movement, every other aspect of the movement. So, or just at least as regular. So, but I mean, I think she did a great job. So I don't have too much to say. Just cultivateusnow.org. And yeah, watching quality TV and different black-owned stations. And I think it's beautiful. I think that it's important to, I mean, even watching quality TV, I see images and I see videos and different people who are, who look like me or who are black, black just like me, and who were created by blackness and written and directed by blackness. And it's like, quality might vary from here to there, but at the same time, it's still a beautiful experience to like see someone and to know that someone made this with your eyes and mind. Like they made it for you and it was made by us.
What's one of your favorite shows or businesses out there let's say shows, like show that you're watching maybe that created by black creators?
I mean, I love the hip hop series. Well, I used to love I still love it, but I used to watch the hip hop series on Netflix. they go through the evolution of hip hop. I absolutely love the evolution of hip hop. I think it's an amazing show. But in terms of black creators, the movie I just watched was called Africa United, and it's about a little group of little African boys trying to get to the World Cup. And it just shows that whole dynamic of, it's just like a hero's journey of them getting to where they started and trying to get to their goal. And they go through hardships and they go through various challenges, but they end up at the World Cup. And it's a, sad ending in some ways, but it's a great story, great movie.
Don't spoil it. I'm not kidding. Don't tell us. But no, that's cool. It's good. It's have like some kind of guide there, because how do you know where to look? Does your website give? I think Shannon did say give suggestions, right? You guys give
it gives a whole list of alternative sites that you can go to, and but the main point is taking the money that we're reharnessing, our consumer power that we're taking away from spending money with Netflix and spending money with these different corporations, and investing it into grassroots organizations. So that's the main focus. We want to take the money and begin to continue to cultivate grassroots organizations. Like Esty is saying right now, Nick Cannon wilding out. Without that level of ownership, they were able to control the narrative completely and just kick Nick Cannon out. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing happened with Keke Palmer. Just got rid of her. Same thing happened with Arsenio Hall I just saw, where he had Minister Louis Farrakhan on. And as soon as he started speaking about some stuff they didn't really appreciate or agree with, it was like, oh, you out of there. And I think it's always cool. It's one thing. And even I was watching a sermon the other day, and it was Shannon and I were watching this thing about love and respect. And the guy was saying that, God looks at our ability based on a proportion. So right now, I know I'm speaking a lot. I'm trying to go fast. But like Netflix just gave $100 million to they invested $100 million into black-owned banks, right? That was what was said. And $100 million seems like a lot of money. But when you look at a $164 billion company of Netflix, and they give $100 million, then $100 million is just like me giving like 10 cents, right? Or hopefully more than 10 cents. But it's based on proportion. It's based on how much money we have and the weight. It's like if I have a lot of time and I give you my time, it doesn't mean as much as me not having a lot of time and I give you my time. If I have a lot of money and I give you $10, doesn't mean as much as me having $15 and I give you $10. So it's like we have to keep that in mind, because although it seems like it's dope, like Netflix is supporting the black movement, but at the same time, as soon as our goals and what we care about does not line up with what their goals and what they care about, then just like Nick Cannon, you out of there. Just like Keke Palmer, you're out of there. It's like Arsenio Hall, you're out of there. So we have to at least work to establish other services, other platforms that are fundamentally aligned with what I believe and what we believe. And I can't say that like we're just, monolithic thinkers, like we all black people all believe the same thing. I don't believe that, but I do believe that as black folks, there is something that we can all agree on, that we only know what it feels like to be black. You know what I mean? Facts.
Can't read that.
she said, not only that, don't be fooled by company gave money, follow the money trail. Most of the time, the money goes to something that truly isn't black. And that's another reality, that a lot of times they'll give it to a black-owned bank or a black-owned business, but it doesn't always equate to the same thing as actually pouring into the black community or giving to people who are pushing the black movement forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know that much about, I actually just recently heard a little bit about Nick Cannon. My question to you is, like, how important is it for us to own what we have? I talked about it sometimes on Back to Basics before about, like being dependent versus, like, independent. Like how, can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, so many thoughts. I mean, initially what comes to my mind, just because I've been looking into it, is education, right? When I look into education and the history of education in America, black folks were not allowed, at a certain time, we were not allowed to just write. Like, only writing was illegal. But after the Nat Turner rebellion, then I think it was like 1819, then they made all things, all education illegal, reading and writing illegal, right? And so that right there set us back hundreds and hundreds of years. You know what I mean? The fact that they stripped the abilities for us to educate ourselves, and then we integrate. But I mean, then after the Civil War, then we began to have schools, and then we began to have our own educational institutions, right? Black people began to educate other black people. But we still weren't getting paid the same. But there was still some sense of pride because we owned the schools. We built the schools. We controlled the narrative. We controlled the education. We had ownership over our own minds. Then the Civil War Act and Brown versus Board of Education, Civil Rights Act in 1964 happened, and Brown versus Board of Education happened. And then they started to integrate schools with deliberate speed, right? So just them integrating schools, now what we see today, what that did was that took away our black teachers in the classroom. Now black students were enabled to go to white schools and really kind of pushed in some places to go to white schools. And at that time, Hispanic kids were passed on as white. So on like as an ethnic group, Hispanics weren't even considered Hispanic at that time. They were considered white. So the way that they beat like integration was they would put Hispanic kids and black kids together, both minorities, and say that it was an integrated school because they counted Hispanics as white. But then that changed eventually too. And then so now in today's society, we have a lot of these schools who are not owned by black people. They're not taught by black people. The educational narrative is not organized or orchestrated by black folks. And then we see the consequences. Now all our students know, all our kids know is slavery. You know, now all our kids know is the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, because we haven't invested enough to have ownership over our own minds and education. And that's the same thing with media. How can we expect when we watch the media, we don't own any news stations? I watch Roland Martin, and he's dope because he owns it. He said, I'm not going back to CNN. I'm creating my own digital platform. And I think that's crazy. It's my own, so I own this. When I look at the media in terms of Netflix, and we see black folks, even with Terry Crews, you know what I'm saying? I don't have no issue with Terry Crews personally, but at the end of the day, when I used to watch Adam Sandler movies, Terry Crews was like the only black man in the Adam Sandler movies a lot of the times. Like, he would be doing, like, Adam Sandler would only have, like, one black person in the movie, and that was supposed to represent the entire black community in these movies, right? And so, how can we get a full picture and a full dynamic of blackness when we don't own the narratives that's being pushed? And so, I think it's super important, like Quality TV and, like, some of these black-owned organizations, black-owned streaming services, to be able to put more content out that shows a fuller dynamic and a fuller narrative. Imagine if every white person in America only saw themselves as the Joker. You know, if the Joker was the only narrative that white people got to see, then they would start to create this self-image of villainhood. But since they have Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, which is Peter Parker, since they have Green Lantern, they have Hulk, and then they also have the Joker. Then they also have Lex Luger. No, that's the B-maker. Lex Luthor. But you know what I'm saying? Then they also have bad guys. They have Magneto and Professor X. So they get the full dynamic. For us, a lot of times, it's like, all we have is Nino Brown, the Carter. We have, you know what I'm saying? We have Juice, and we have Bishop from Juice, and we have these different dynamics, but it's not a full range of imagination. What we're seeing now in 2020 is more of that. We see Black Panther and we see Wakanda Forever. That's why it was so hypnotizing to see black people in that. It's such a you know what I'm saying, with such dichotomy that they're like, oh, he's that guy and he's this guy. So it was just, that's all. Spawn was all we had for a long time. Blade and Spawn.
Oh man, I would love those movies. I put Spawn above Blade though. But then, how do you respond to the people who are like, oh, there's not many white people in Black Panther? Like, they were like, did you hear that?
Yeah, you were saying there's not enough white people in Black Panther? I mean, that's what people say.
Yeah. There was like people had issue with Black Panther because they were like, where's the not bigger?
I hear it. Of course I hear it, but I'm like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? This has been our whole history. This is our first real superhero. My favorite movie growing up was Meteor Man, because I was like, yo, I mean, we look at The Last Dragon. You know, we look at Bruce Leroy. Bruce Leroy was the man, you know me? Because he was just a black, like, legend. And then we look at Blank Man. Like, that was who I looked at as my whole superhero. And then the Black Ranger, of course, you got Zach. But I mean, like, think about Zach, for instance. Zach is the only black person in that whole conversation of Power Rangers. Like, that was our dude. When you look at whatever we've been watching for most of my life, it has been that one. And so now there's a movie where there's not many, and it's coming from a different narrative. There was more than one, but it's coming from a different narrative. It's like, it is kind of funny. It is like one of those moments where it's like, wow. You know what I mean? That's pretty hilarious that y'all feel left out. That shows how little you've been left out.
It's true. I don't know. Teacher Brent read almost that, but what'd you say?
And you look at the whole list of Marvel characters. I don't want to hear none of that. Stop it. When you speak on history, black people were not allowed to know their true history. Look at MK Ultra. They've been studying the psychological effects of not knowing, of controlling narratives, etc. So having our own is important on so many levels, consciously and subconsciously. True. MK Ultra is like the Manchurian Candidate, right? You can control. It's like if you can control someone's mind, then you don't have to worry about their actions, and that's pretty much it. That's what they know. They know that if they can control our minds, they don't have to worry about our actions. And the best way to control our minds is through television, and through music, and through media.
Like, okay, how do you? How like when Atlanta opened the first time or whatever, there was like a picture of a line of people getting Jordan. Like, when you talk about people's minds being controlled and that affects their bodies, like, that's what I thought of when you said it. Do you have anything to say about that?
You said when Atlanta was being opened and what?
There was this long line of people waiting to get Jordan. So they were willing to risk their
Jordans. Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, but I mean, we have to keep into consideration our history. When we look at our present, we can't forget our history. So it's hard for me to condemn someone the same way that Atlanta is wide open right now. Florida is open. I mean, like, I got cousins and family in Atlanta, and I know they're at the Turner. I know they're outside busting donuts. I know they're doing whatever they're doing. But at the same time, when we have 40 years of y'all telling us, come here, we'll give you free health care, and then at the same time, you're giving us syphilis. You know what I mean? That's literally what happened in America, that they're saying, come, we're giving you free health care, but then they're actually injecting us with syphilis. Then I understand the doubt and the feeling of, I don't care what you're talking about. I'm about to live my life because you already want to kill me anyways. But I'm not saying I agree with it, but I understand it, right? And so when I think about Jordans and when I think about all of that stuff, there is an aspect of that I hate to say, but it does root back in a lot of ways to me towards the status of having money, you know. And Michael Jordan, if you've watched the Last Dance, Michael Jordan, it's like Michael Jordan was an icon. The same way that people stood outside to get Michael Jackson CDs, or if Michael Jackson was about to show up, it's the same kind of concept. But Michael Jordan was an athletic icon, and so his fashion and his shoes still represent a lot in the black community, especially. But now it's even transcended past the black community. But it also does have a status symbol of like wealth and, you know, money to have some Jordans. Me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Jordans, but that's just my all preference.
What do you think about the way that, like, I don't really know how to structure the question, but like, we have understanding.
I couldn't hear you. You started to break up.
Oh yeah, like we're kind of shown how to look as Black people through representation on media, and that concept of like wearing Jordans or whatever or certain brands is highly valued, but in the grand scheme of things, we're actually not doing it. I don't know if that makes sense, like for you to elaborate on, but like, how do you feel about that? And the fact that like maybe buying Jordans is not helping support Black business.
I would believe that. Yeah, sound did go out, but I think I heard what you were saying.
Okay.
But Black is beautiful in all shades, in all clothes, in all aesthetics. Black is beautiful. So if you choose to press your hair, straighten your hair, you know what I'm saying, put extensions and do whatever, that's still beautiful. If it's not healthy for you, I would try to advise you not to do it. But if you choose to wear it natural and choose to do whatever you want to do, that's beautiful in itself. If you choose to wear some button-ups and suits every day, that's how you feel, fine. If you choose to, you know, in all honesty, sag your pants and do what you feel, that's how you feel, then fine. But at the same time, by criminalizing what's Black, that is where we have an issue. When I put a hood on and I criminalize my hood, or I criminalize do-rags, or I criminalize a backwards hat, that's an issue for me. Or I criminalize sagging pants and make it seem like that, how I decide to dress, is what's dangerous, or is the apparel of thugs. That's just subconscious brainwashing. Because the same way, there's people out here, as we see right now, who are wearing suits, doing some cold stuff also. You know, doing some really evil stuff, wearing blue, like 3-piece suits. So if we don't criminalize 3-piece suits, but we criminalize do-rags and hoods, that makes no sense. That's just racism. That's systemic racism. And, you know, I'll stop there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree. Like, people in suits are definitely committing crime. You know, I don't say equal or not, but that clothing is not the determination on how safe someone is or isn't. I just want to check the time real quick. So we did come to our 30 minutes. I definitely have more to ask you, but
sure.
Stop here and respect your time. But I'll go ahead and do my closing, and if you have any closing remarks, I would love to hear it. Any encouragement that you may have for anybody. But I want to thank everybody who joined us. Thank you, Sunwhoa, for being here with us today. And we want to encourage guys to the next episode of Diversity Chats, where we destroy ignorance before it destroys us. And did you have any encouragement?
I mean, I'm feel like we just getting started, but I'll say.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. It was 30 minutes. That was good. But I'll say that, first of all, thank you to everyone who signed on, who logged on, and is watching and is viewing and contributing. Thank you to you. If any encouragement, just I would say that it's encouragement for myself, that I have a friend and an advocate in Jesus, that I'm not in this conversation alone. I'm not in my fear alone. I'm not in my sorrow alone. I'm not in my grief alone. That I do have a high priest who empathizes with me in every situation, regardless of the situation. He said he can empathize with all my sins and all my shortcomings and all my inadequacy, even though he did not sin. And so, for me, that is the ultimate encouragement, knowing that I can go through my entire life and my afterlife with that reality and with that truth. So, and for everyone out there, just start where you are. You know, in Freedom School, I've been a part of a program called Freedom School that has been revolutionary to me. It's been life-changing. I've been involved for about 9 to 10 years, and now I'm an elevator trainer. Shout out to my elevator trainers. And one thing that's very important in the theme of Freedom School is every week we have a weekly theme. I can make a difference in myself is the first week. I can make a difference in my family. I can make a difference in my community. I can make a difference in my country. I can make a difference in my world. I can make a difference with hope, education, and action. And so, with that being said, just start at myself. Start educating yourself. Start learning as much as you can. Then start with your family. Then next move on to your family. Then your community and country and world. And the possibilities are limitless. So, just God bless you and keep cultivating. Keep planting seeds that you will be happy when they grow.
Amen. for sharing all of this today. Great. I don't know. I was just say sorry. I have more questions, but I do tangents. So thank you for rolling with me on that.
I'm good.
Yeah.
We can do it. We can do it part 2 whenever you want. Let me know.
Yeah. Thank you. And you guys definitely check out, the Cultivate. Check out Sunwhoa, what he does. He does music that inspires people. And I hope you guys bless the rest of your day, evening, or night.
Appreciate it.
See you later. God bless.